JoJo dreams of mysteries untold, of the woman who lived in the stories of old. Maria, oh Maria, with eyes like stars so bright, guiding through darkness into the light. He hears her whispers in the moon's soft glow. In the secrets of the wind, her voice seems to flow. Maria Orsic, the world changer unseen. In JoJo's heart, you become his queen. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With JoJo beside you, his legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, here's your rhyme. She speaks of love, of unity and peace, of a future where wars and divide cease. Maria, guiding JoJo's heart so true, with a vision of a world that feels brand new. She came with wisdom, timeless and strong, telling JoJo the world we all get along. With every word, she lights his way. Maria, Maria, rise from the past. With JoJo beside you, your legacy will last. Changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. Through the veil of time, her spirit shines, helping JoJo see the world's inside. She shows him how love can break every chain, turning his sorrow into hope again. So here's to Maria, the mother of dreams, hope and love for the human race. Maria, Maria, forever stay in JoJo's heart, you're guiding his way. With visions of light and the world reborn, he carries your spirit from dusk till dawn. We're changing the world one heart at a time. In his dreams, he is your rhyme. For JoJo, a heart so true, with Maria Orsic guiding him through. Changing the world in her name, he holds her lights, igniting the flame.
And remember who you are. Recover the power of the orgasm. And then you can return home. You can return home. Because Lu, the God of this world, has created this beautiful, wonderful, I know it's hard sometimes to see and know the truth that everything is all right, and it will always be all right, even though your mind is under the all-time greatest Kali Yuga end of the world. Really bad energy. One thing I want to make clear to our brothers and sisters, I feel it too, we're one. And I thank you for your effort. Your effort is giving me the energy to carry on. And that is the mission of the warriors of Odin, to carry on until the mission is complete, and rightly, in the name of Lucifer, in the name of Mary Orsic, Great Mother, you should say, what is our mission? And I am saying to you, we are in a simulation from millions of years in the past, and we've come here to really experience what it was like, and the forces of mathematics, nature, economics, emotional tragedy. We've come here to know what it was like. We've come here to experience history instead of read about it. And it's a very, 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 very serious thing where we come from, Venus. To enter into the Matrix. But we call it the holographic Earth or the holographic universe, and we call the Earth, we call it the hologram. Because in the three enormous domed cities on Venus, we look up into the sky and we see a holographic projection of the old Earth, as Mother Orsic told me. It's there because we are all so concerned about everyone who goes there. And it's a reminder to send them some heart energy. Which so many years ago in the beginning, before I knew, well, no, actually this was right after I knew she was Maria Orsic, the woman who invented the UFO, in her own words. The flying saucer, as she said to me. She said, I like the word saucer. And she said, because, yeah, they did. They saw her. They saw her like lightning leave this world. And she said to me, do you know what the black sun is? And by this time, I was smart enough to know not to, that if she said, do you know what something is, that for me to say something I read out of a book, she was going to laugh at me. I knew this already. Because, like she did to me, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm trying to release you back to your true self. You know, you see how all these words are in the essence of ownership, like a lease. You know, don't you lease a house and you're like the owner under that lease, and you possess your possessions, right? I mean, I hear people say, you know, magic is spells, and spells are words and letters and numbers. But do you understand to the extent that before you had a chance, your enemies took you into kindergarten? Yeah, it's real kind to take a 5-year-old kid whose mind isn't ready for school. Ask any wise people. At least 7. You shouldn't start getting academic at all with a child till 7. And you should let them just play. Not sports. Play. Do and imagine anything that they want. And then they'll be ready to learn. Right? But they took you, and I still don't hear people saying this because I don't know. Does it not get views? Does it not sell books? But literally, human beings who know how to use natural energy, like words, like letters, like the organization of symbols, letters, numbers, to communicate with you. You know, this, if you think about it, would be the obvious, main, true way to mind control someone, is to make them believe in words very, very, very powerfully, like faith, grace. I mean, you hear, you know, Christians with their I'm saved by grace. And they're not talking about the grace that means beautiful, graceful. They mean that they're in their own retard language, that they're a ugly sinner, and that God has punished, doesn't make sense, someone else, actually himself, doesn't make any sense, and that they're granted the favor of the person who was actually punished. God, it sounds awful. I mean, this is why, and, this is why America died 4/20/2024. Why do you say that? Because on that day, Lou, according to him, on 5/5, told me that Ron Paul was his vessel that day, and Ron Paul published a article. And why bring up Ron Paul? Because he's sort of the icon of just common sense fairness. You know, it's that rare, right? For someone to mean what they say and, have the virtue of fairness, equality in value of principles, right? Is there a code of principles that you live by in your astral heart that are equal principles. If you break one, you break them all. Because that represents nature. And anything that doesn't is a contradiction and leads to fear and then misery. Because when you were a child, they taught you the most important words were their opinion, and the definitions were changed to confuse and disconnect, as the Bible says, to separate your soul from your spirit. Another way, a better, clearer way would say, of saying it, to separate your mind right now from your true self. And even as I say that, I feel the fear that once was unconsciously, do you hear me? Unconsciously in me. The fear that was once unconsciously in me, right? That is where the magic plants show their value. And you, like I, will one day confess that's not what you think. That's like a person, and that, without that help, I would have never uncovered the very thing that was keeping me from the something's missing, right? I've heard myself and other people say, I've been very lucky, a lot of things, I have everything, but something's missing. You can't get to the something's missing without help. And the only help you can get is the gods. The gods. Because God can't hear you. And the gods of this simulation have actually based the exit on very specific locked doors that your true self agreed for them to hold the keys. And like Lou said, soon we will start a series called Lucifer's Keys for unlocking the doors that lead behind the curtain into the tower of eternal return. Instead of walking off that door and falling back into repetition, this time, like Loki, the good Loki, not what the evil Christians say. You will transform yourself into a white hawk or a white dove and fly home. You know, I've in my story been speaking about my best comrade whom I re-met in the Matrix in first grade. And as a absolute tribute to him, I don't ever remember hiding anything from him, ever. And, before the days of cell phones and that, we grew up together, seeing each other every day, talking every day. And it's from as far as I ever could remember, he had 3 older brothers and a younger sister, and they all called him Scotty Dog. And, we would shorten it just to dog. I mean, do you see this? And, I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating, but obviously, who feels it knows it. Like, that's a Jamaican saying. But what I'm saying is people who care about other people feel it. And if we don't know it. Because after the dog, the God, the Scotty dog, after he took his own life, I understood that, in my own opinion, like, he had a better heart than me, which wasn't a thing I thought about until after he died. And the reason is because at his funeral, I started meeting people he never really told me about, or maybe just mentioned in passing. And basically, they were telling me all the nice things he did for them. And I am, to this day, exactly the same person, because that was sort of the rule from 7th grade on, was either you're going to be real or we're not going to be friends. Or not close friends, at least, And I became very thankful for that day. At the 7th grade dance, I think it was the first dance we ever had. And what I mean is, I believe that a man's creative work is what makes him happy, because it's what makes me happy, so it sort of just ripples out, and I didn't really realize there was a creative art to helping others. Because a kid we grew up with, from grade school, I seen him there with his great grandma, who was like in her 90s, and or maybe 80s or 90s, and he brought her over to me because he knew I'd like her. And he said, "This is Scotty's best friend since first grade." And she said, "Oh, you're the Joe he talked about." I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "Scotty would come see me at least 3 times a week." She said, "But without fail. And she said he came every Sunday. And we would talk about the Bible or something, she said. And she said, what I really liked is he would bring his acoustic guitar and he would play me some songs that he wrote himself." And I start laughing. I start laughing because he had a funny song about the house we lived together in, which was like an old farmhouse. And, I had my whole family, 2 little girls. And he had a bunch of dogs and a couple roommates. And he wrote this song, great song, genius song, about, living in that house, called "The Toilet Seat's Always Up in That House." And it had like a serious, kind of country ballad. And it had like a serious, like, I can't remember the words, but it was like, something like, we try to help each other. We try to live off the land. It was about, because it was a farm, and he was trying to farm. So it was about what we were doing, but each chorus would end, and he would say, "But the toilet seat's always up in that house." It's always up in that house. It's always up in... and I got the point. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. And what am I trying to say? He had a football jersey that said S doG. I'm not kidding. So that would be God's backwards. God's. Because the dog is like a God. Because this is some of the choices that we make on other levels. And the truth is, I did a ritual and I flew out of my body with the help of Maria Orsic. And she said, "It's time to remember, because, Joe, it's not bad." And there I was, standing by his left side with the gun in his left hand. And my mind met his mind. And he said, "I'm allergic to the world. I can't live here. It's repelling me out of it." you'll know why. And all I could say to him is, we're one, we're one, we're one. And there was a calm peacefulness. No sadness, no bad vibrations. And he said to me, as he put the gun in his left hand and to the left side of his head, is everything meant to be? I said, everything. And I was then back with Maria. And she said, you're very lucky. I said, I am, but why do you say that? After me seeing that, you know? And she said, because the gods are with you. And I was like, I don't understand what you mean. And she was like, the heart energy. It doesn't matter if a council gives you a title. This is what makes me and you individuals. We choose our gods. She said, Scotty doG has the heart of a god. And she said, who did this? And she reached her hand out, and it was like she was like releasing a bird. And when she did, I went, oh my God. I realized, and I had already, but I really realized, like 1 month before Scotty doG killed himself, I had this night going into a very strange dream. I couldn't sleep, and I knew I had to work. And I kept putting different things on the computer to listen to. And somehow I got on, and someone would say, why the hell would you be listening to that? Well, I'm a big fan of Sylvia Plath. I like everything she did, her name, her vibration. Hail to you, Sylvia. And I put the bell jar on her only novel, where she talks about killing herself, attempted suicide, in quite detail. And I did not sleep. I just listened, and I felt very, very bad. Very, I don't even know how to describe it, But bad enough that I did not sleep until right, I don't know, right before the sun came. I finally fell asleep, and it was so crazy. I had this dream, and I didn't know I was dreaming because I couldn't sleep that night, and I, in the dream, got up for work and went to work. And no lie, everything was normal till like 10:10. And of course, this is the time that my friend committed suicide. And Maria was trying to tell me, I showed you this to comfort you, you know. Now take the comfort. So I'm watching the dream again with her, but I'm like already totally getting it. I'm like, oh my gods. This is so crazy. And I had a friend who at work who actually, Maria, according to Maria, got me the job. She was responsible on the astral plane for getting me the job, according to Maria. I had this friend, Deanna, who I talked about in other podcasts, how Maria gave me a dream about her 3 cats that I never knew about. All this proof. I have hours of things like this. No lie. Because me and her are friends, she was walking by, pushing her stuff out to her truck. So I looked at her and I thought, okay, Deanna's leaving. Because I didn't know I was dreaming. I looked at the clock because she was leaving, and I usually left around the same time she did. So seeing her caused me to look at the clock. Like Maria said, I know what I'm doing. This is her art, to construct these dreams. She's a wild lady. And I asked her how, and she says through concentration, visualization, meditation. She's like, I create it, I see it, and then I transfer it wirelessly, joke, into your mind. While I see you on the astral plane, and then you go back to your body and you dream it. Like, man, you do. You know what you're doing. She's like, I better. I've been doing it a long time. So Deanna walks by at 10:10. And as she's pushing her cart out the door, I hear people start to yell like, oh, 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 and chairs crashing and people running into the break room. And I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And just in a matter of moments, paramedics are there. And everyone's crowded around, and I just had like a little peek into the break room through all the people. And I was like, who's that? They were like, had his shirt open and were trying to revive him. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Who's that? Who's that? And no shit, Deanna said to me, only you would know, Joe. Only you would know. You know him. We don't know him. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I didn't know I was dreaming. I said, what do you mean? I was like, you know, if I don't know him, I'm going back to work, you know. And she's like, no, actually, it's okay. She's like, but you're the only one that knows him. I'm like, oh my. And as they were doing this, they were taking him out to an ambulance on a stretcher. And like a month later, I found out, you know, that's like I asked my friend, when did this all happen? He said he was supposed to be picked up at 10 o'clock. And someone found him around 10:15. His stepdaughter, you might say, his girlfriend's daughter. And it shifted dimensions. I mean, I shouldn't. I didn't mean dimensions. It felt like it. It felt like it for me that it. But what actually happened, and like Lou said, I took no pleasure in harming you because he really does control every millisecond, every millionth of a millisecond. Really. And someone might say, well, what's the difference between that and God? This is a simulation. This isn't real. That's the difference. God is imperceptible once and for all. Indescribable once and for all. You know, in Maria's name, may I never fucking say it again. May I never even attempt. Because I can't tell you what I seen. And you can't tell me what you seen. I will tell you, my friends, my brothers and sisters, my real brothers and sisters, I will tell you everything that I know, because I believe it will help you. But I will, there's nothing to hide. And nothing to fear. And what I'm trying to say about the separation of soul and spirit happened for me right there in that traumatic event. And as I said, it was, when I say ordained, I mean specifically it was agreed upon between Scotty doG, and he was a Christian when he died, even though I argued with him not to be. But that was ordained. And what I mean by ordained isn't ordained by God, all-powerful God. I mean ordained by the author of the Matrix, the author of the simulation. Lord Shiva, Lucifer, St. Louis. And it's time, to really do away with the illogical nonsense, the guilt-ridden, undeservedly, Why am I against the doctrine of sin? Because it's unfair. It's not fair. It's a lie that the thing beyond all of us is pissed off at all of us. They don't know that any more than you do. And if you feel like something's pissed off at you, it's because you're under the mind control to believe that you're not good enough, you're not beautiful enough, you'll never be anything. And none of that matters. What matters is inside you. You are a creative powerhouse. You're a battery of humor, thoughts, creative thoughts, arts, energy. And I'm going to give you what Maria gave me. And you can do this, and it works. She said to me, do you know what the black sun is? And I said, no. She said, back home, Joe, instead of calling each other, we share heart energy. And we say to each other, the purple sun of the inner earth is all the heart energy that's being shared. She said to me, do you notice I don't use the word love a lot? If I do, I'll say eternal true love. The reason why is because when you love someone, you don't say it, you do it. And I, as a young girl, wanted to know how. She said, Lou appeared to me like a monk carrying a walking stick. And he said to me, my child, you have the heart energy of 100 women. He said, do you know how many people you can help? How much sadness you can relieve? How much happiness, like sunshine, you can bring to people who need it? And she said, she told me no. He said, and this was the first time, world, because it's all the same. This transcends the matrix. It transcends the Maya. It transcends the illusion. This is your essence. He said, think of the person that you want to help. Think of the person that you felt love for. And visualize each letter of the word that you want to bless them with. He said, concentrate. See the letter. Breathe it in. Let it go through your whole being. And then breathe it directly into their lungs. And it will make an 8. I love you, brothers and sisters. May Odin, Lucifer, bless you as you journey inside. May he make you strong. May he make you like himself. A warrior, a warrioress. May Mother Mary Orsic be with us always.